Good evening, everybody.
My name is Khadija Ihsan, and I will be the host of this ceremony commemorating the second anniversary of the International Day of Argania. In the name of the Kingdom of Morocco and the United Nations, I welcome all of you, wherever you are, to join us to celebrate this ancestral and legendary tree. This year's anniversary will focus on resilience. And as a matter of fact, before talking about resilience, we are here in this wonderful venue of Taghazout that happens to be one of the most important fields of Argania in Morocco. If there is one lesson that we all, the whole planet, has learned from COVID is resilience. And believe me, in terms of resilience, each one of us has a lot to learn from the Argan tree. Why? Well, simply because, as this is an ancestral tree, it has developed tremendous skills of adaptation and endurance. I personally think that the Argan tree is like a woman. Because, and we know that, all of us know that, women has developed and has initially skills of resilience and adaptation. And it's not a matter of coincidence that the whole ecosystem is built by and for women. So today, we're not only celebrating a benefic tree, but we are also commemorating girls and women who have been perpetuating its tradition for centuries and who have raised numerous generations thanks to Argan revenues. Not to mention the know-how that made the Moroccan products such as the Argan oil, the ladies, if I might say that like that, the ladies' best friend all over the world, just like diamonds, because it makes their skin like diamond. The other reason we are gathered here today is sharing lessons of resilience. Do you know that the Argania is a living lab? And we are lucky this lab is open to transfer, to offer this knowledge to everyone on sustainable management of natural capital. And an occasion like this is an open door for creating twinning opportunities between ecosystems facing similar challenges. Let me please ask you to join me and to join your hands with me to commemorate all those girls and women who have been working on the Argania through centuries and that are still today. Let me give you a brief glimpse on the program today. After the welcoming remarks, Brahim Hafidi, who's the Director General of the National Agency for the Development of Oasis and Argan Zones, will be sharing a detailed presentation of all we get to know about Argan ecosystem. Before, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome the speech from the Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries, Rural Development, Water and Forests, Mr. Mohammed Sadiqi.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to extend my sincere apologies for not being present as scheduled due to unforeseen circumstances. And allow me to address you through this recorded message on the occasion of the International Day of Argania, which was decreed by the United Nations and will be celebrated on the 10th of May of each year thanks to the initiative of the Kingdom of Morocco. I present to you my heartfelt thanks for accepting to participate in this event, which is very special to us. It is important to note that the UN Declaration is not fortuitous, but rather a tribute to the illustrious tree that has flourished in our country, which has been there for centuries and which has resisted the climatic conditions and human factors to become an example of resilience. It is for these reasons that we have decided to celebrate it this year under the theme The Argan Tree, a symbol of resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, the significance of this ecological system lies in its effective influence in mitigating desertification, as well as its unique characteristics in the agricultural system that enables the coexistence of humans and nature in a state of equilibrium. The UN Declaration is a testament to the efforts implemented by the Kingdom of Morocco under the high patronage of His Majesty King Mohammed VI, may God bless him, in the development of the vital field of the Argan tree and the safeguarding of this medicinal heritage with cultural and socio-economic dimensions. It is essential to recall the results and performance of the Green Morocco Plan, whose contract for the development of the Argan sector during the period of 2012 and 2020 enabled a very successful performance. And in this context, rehabilitation of more than 164,000 hectares of forest within a participatory approach with the rights holders and beneficiaries. The transformation of the Argan tree from a forest tree to the nation's leading agricultural tree. The value chain components were also organized within an interprofessional federation. And the planting of 10,000 hectares of Argan orchards funded in partnership with the GCF, which is the Green Climate Fund, that is considered as a model of solidarity farming projects to value private lands. As for the link of enriching, a significant increase of the number of cooperatives and companies has been recorded with a market size exceeding 1 billion dirhams. Regarding marketing and export, Argan exports recorded a significant increase in value exceeding $31 million in 2021. Despite the impact of the global health crisis, of course. Moreover, we supported scientific research to launch a program for Argan germplasm selection. That allowed to develop 13 varieties with very high characteristics. To share the results of scientific research, the International Congress of Argan Tree is organized every 2 years. The 6th edition is launched in parallel with the celebrations of the Argan Tree Day. I am also honored to inform you that on this special occasion, the construction of the National Center of Argan Tree is launched in Agadir. It is a consultative and collaborative platform to support scientific research, capitalize knowledge, and contribute to the Argan Ray heritage interpretation. Ladies and gentlemen, we are convinced of the importance of this vital ecosystem. We are also determined to continue supporting the development of the Argan tree through the GCF, through the Green Generation and the Forests of Morocco strategies, as well as having instructions in line with the directives of the Moroccan kingdom, mainly to achieve a sustainable Morocco that is keen on preserving resources through the national territory. In this context, the Argan value chain will be strengthened by implementation that is based on sustaining the achievements and to guarantee its sustainability for its vital importance to the human component as a human lever to social and economic conditions. Within this perspective, the Green Generation 2020-2030 and Morocco Forests 2020-2030 strategies rely on 5 pillars to develop the Argan value chain. Maintain the Argan orchards to program to achieve 50,000 hectares by 2030, rehabilitation of 400,000 hectares of forest areas according to a holistic and sustainable management model based on a contract for the participatory protection of the biosphere. Supporting productivity, improvement, and reviving argan oil exports, supporting scientific research, supporting professional organizations and agricultural projects, and strengthening the interprofessional federation through the integration of all links in the value chain, mainly women's cooperatives. Ladies and gentlemen, the Biosphere Reserve constitutes a living example of the gender approach. As women are the main pillar of this value chain, and they are given great credit for organizing and developing it as they lead the cooperative fabric. Accordingly, it is necessary to pay great tribute to the working women through their effective inclusion in any programs in order to achieve effective economic empowerment. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I would like to thank all of local and international partners and stakeholders who contributed to the protection of the Argan tree. And I invite them to continue their support so that we can achieve a sustainable development of this vital biosphere reserve. Peace be upon you, and the mercy of God be upon you.
Minister Sadiqi just presented main characteristics of the ecosystem of Argania. But now I invite you to know and to get to know more, to get closer to this ecosystem with this video. I invite you to watch this film, and we will be proceeding to the rest of welcome and remarks.
Argan ecosystems, covering 830,000 hectares, are unique to Morocco and the region. They play a significant role in the food, nutrition, ecology, and resilience with socio-economic values under changing climate and demography. In recognition of its ecological and cultural value and economic importance, the Arganary was declared a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve in 1998. The ancestral know-how related to natural resource management, such as soil conservation, collection, sharing, and valuing water, contribute greatly to sustainability. The cradle of a rich biodiversity and a remarkable endemism. The pillar of this ecosystem is the Argan tree, Argania spinosa, one of the most climate-resilient tree species in the drylands. Rural communities of Morocco, who rely on it for their living, adopted specific and ingenious tenure managements. Women are the main actors in the value chain. They helped Argan Tree's products expanding to international dimension. The Arganeri faces many challenges because of inadequate management and overexploitation of resources. Morocco implements actions towards sustainable management and conservation of the Argan ecosystems. Within the Morocco Green Plan, we dedicated a national agency collaborating with all stakeholders. We promote specific development programs, investing 1.4 billion dirhams in 10 years to support infrastructure. Planting 10,000 hectares of Argan orchards financed by the Green Climate Fund and 200,000 hectares of natural forest rehabilitation. Promote scientific research, supporting professional organizations. The Arganeri offers important knowledge and learning opportunities for better resilience. We are ready to share with the whole world.
These are, ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful images of the Argan ecosystem, of course, with the beautiful images of women and girls who work on this field in the south of Morocco. We are here in the south of Morocco. We are in the capital of Argan. We are exactly next to the capital. In Taghazout, next door is Agadir, and the next opening remark is from someone who was born in Agadir. He is the Ambassador Permanent Representative of Morocco to the United Nations in New York, Mr. Ambassador Omar Hilal.
Monsieur le Ministre, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me to welcome you to the celebration of this International Day of Argan, celebrated by the United Nations and the international community on 10th of May each year. Since the adoption by the General Assembly of its resolution on the International Day of Argan, the Kingdom of Morocco and the United Nations have been raising awareness each year around the preservation and the development of Argan, a source of life and resilience. On this International Day, we celebrate more than an endemic tree, where we honor an intangible cultural heritage of humanity and an ancestral source of sustainable development. This celebration crowns the efforts of the Kingdom of Morocco under the leadership of His Majesty King Mohammed VI. May God assist him in the protection and enhancement of Argan and its natural human ecosystem. It is in this spirit that the Kingdom is committed to preserving community practices with regards to sustainable management of the Argan ecosystem, especially in the context of acute water stress and increasing climate change. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, by celebrating the International Argan Day, the ambition of Morocco is to both preserve the ancestral heritage we have and also share with the world our knowledge to preserve the emblematic ecosystem of Argan, which conveys a unique know-how for biodiversity and for re-establishing a balanced link between humans and nature. Argan is a national vocation that promotes modern techniques for collecting and saving water, using renewable energies, and supporting the socio-economic fabric of local communities. The theme of this year's celebration consecrates the symbolic resilience of the Argan tree. In fact, the ecosystem of Argan continues to adapt to the increased effects of climate change in an impressive way. It promotes the empowerment of rural women, particularly through the support of cooperatives and agricultural organizations. Argan's resilience helps local communities to overcome difficulties, build their adaptation skills, and find local solutions to achieve sustainable development on the ground and build the adaptation skills. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, for the second consecutive year, my country is honored by the involvement and active collaboration in this celebration of the Ministry of Agriculture, Maritime Fisheries, Rural Development, and Water and Forests, the National Agency for the Development of Oases and Argan Zones, the Green Climate Fund, FAO, UNESCO, UN Women, WHO, as well as the entire United Nations Development System led by the UN Deputy Secretary General, Ms. Amina Mohammed. I would like to thank them warmly for their valuable and constructive contributions. I cannot omit to also thank the Department of Global Communications of the United Nations for all the efforts made to promote this International Day. This celebration is broadcasted live in the four corners of the world, thanks to the UN Web TV. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this day is a timely opportunity to reflect collectively on the role of all international stakeholders in order to preserve and promote the Argan sector and its ecosystem. The actions undertaken by my country in the field of agriculture, in collaboration with the Green Climate Fund since COP22 held in Marrakesh in 2016, have enabled a wide range of ambitious projects which yielded encouraging results that deserve to be developed and expanded. Finally, only 8 years separate us from the deadline of the Decade of Action for Achieving Sustainable Development by 2030, which places us before a major time constraint and requires from us to unite our efforts and accelerate the implementation of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. For the Kingdom of Morocco, the Decade of Action is also a timely opportunity to advocate for the conservation and enhancement of Argan as a national and universal heritage whose intangible capital has been transcended borders. As we strive to achieve a more inclusive and resilient world, I invite all United Nations member states and the entire international community to get inspired from Argan, which honors sustainable development at the local and global levels thanks to a new generation of young women and men, whose spirit of entrepreneurship and innovation is a source of pride for Morocco and of inspiration to the world. I thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Hilal, and all the institutional coordinators that you mentioned are addressing welcoming remarks. And let me introduce first, representing the United Nations, the President of the United Nations General Assembly, Mr. Abdullah Shahid.
Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to join you today in celebrating the second International Day of Argania. The Argan tree and all that it represents aligns well with two of my priorities: rebuilding sustainably and responding to the needs of the planet. Truly, the Argan tree symbolizes the triple bottom line of sustainable development, encompassing economic, social, and environmental dimensions. This year's theme, the Argan tree, symbol of resilience, echoes the very nature of the tree, which provides support for income generation, increases community resilience, and improves climate adaptation. For centuries, the environment where the trees have thrived have prompted agricultural biodiversity, resilient ecosystems, and valuable cultural heritage. This makes it a truly unique and multifaceted resource. It produces the world-renowned argan oil used for a variety of festive dishes, medicinal and beauty products. The bark and the leaves can also be used for food and fuel. And the tree also contributes to primary health care for communities and households. My dear friends, these multifaceted trees already provide numerous socio-economic benefits, including income generation and support to rural women who often lead the entire extraction process through traditional knowledge. The trees also form an essential part of a traditional water management system known as matfia, a rainwater reservoir carved into rocks. This water management system not only plays a vital role in increasing resilience to water scarcity, erosion, and desertification, but also promotes social cohesion. A symbol of eternity and resistance, argan trees provide sustainable pathways to promote trade, contributing to the socio-economic development of rural communities. There is no doubt that the preservation and sustainable use of the argan trees can help achieve sustainable development in all its dimensions. Happy International Day of Argania. I thank you.
The next speaker have played a very important role in making an International Day of Argania, and just as mentioned by Ambassador Hilal, she is a major contributor to the preservation of this ancestral know-how and simply tree. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Amina Mohammed, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations and Chair of the United Nations Sustainable Development Group.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends, it is indeed my honor to join you to mark the International Day of Argania. For centuries, the argan tree has constituted a vibrant, biodiverse, resilient, and economically important ecosystem. The theme of this year's observance, the argan tree, symbol of resilience, is an inspiration and motivation as we work together to deliver the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The versatile argan tree not only contributes to resilient landscapes and livelihoods in the face of extreme weather conditions, it is also a cornerstone of rural economies, creating income-generating opportunities for many people, especially our women and young people. The argan tree teaches us about coexistence. This complex ecosystem thrives because it enables farmers, pastoralists, and rural communities to live and work in harmony. The symbiotic relationship between people and nature has created a flourishing biodiversity hotspot. Recognized by the Food and Agriculture Organization as a global important agricultural heritage system in 2018, the argan grove provides sustenance for rural communities that depend on argan oil and associated products and services, including agritourism. Its adaptability to drought and heat helps to tackle desertification, land degradation, and water stress. I would like to thank Morocco for its critical contributions in safeguarding and sustainably cultivating the argan tree. On this International Day, let us together celebrate the countless benefits of the argan tree and recognize how its cultivation, management, and preservation are helping us to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Amina Mohammed. And now, representing the UNESCO, Firmin Edward Matoko, Assistant Director General for Priority Africa and External Relations at UNESCO.
Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency Mr. Mohamed Sadiqi, the Minister of Agriculture, Maritime Fisheries, Rural Development and Waters and Forests, His Excellency Mr. Abdullah Shahid, President of the United Nations General Assembly, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear friends, on behalf of the Director General of UNESCO, Ms. Audrey Azoulay, I have the great pleasure of celebrating with you this second International Day of Argan. For 2 years, May 10 has been the occasion to celebrate this miracle tree. A tree that comes to us from the depths of time and which has literally become a miracle, and in the regions where it is found, the pivot of lives and societies, especially for the Amazigh. The argan tree is indeed only a tree from which we harvest the fruits. It is a civilization tree today. Still, many lives and families gravitate towards. 3.5 million Moroccan men and women derive their income from it, thanks to the know-how slowly crystallized over time. of these women who know how to draw from the argan tree all the treasures it can offer, both in the traditional cooking and medical aspect, but also increasingly in the cosmetics sector. It is for this reason that the UNESCO described argan and all the traditions and lifestyles representative list of the intangible heritage of humanity in 2014. Nourishing tree, healing tree, civilization tree. The argan tree is also a protective and deeply resilient tree, not only in its ability to withstand periods of drought, but to develop. Even there, one would think that it would not be possible, but also because its roots undoubtedly constitute the best ramparts against soil erosion and the advance of the desert. Never can the word of the famous Cicero have been so accurate: the tree and twice as useful as the fruit. It is thus to protect this endemic species and to allow it to play its full role in societies and for its environment that UNESCO created in 1989 the Argan Tree Biosphere Reserve. This ability to adapt to the resilience of the argan tree is manageable and should inspire us as the theme of this International Day calls us to do. This is why I would like to thank Morocco for hosting this celebration and for its commitment to sustainably protect this tree and its magic. UNESCO will continue to support alongside the kingdom and the people who live with the argan tree, who live with it and thanks to it, so that the world continues to hear the lessons of this miracle tree. I thank you for your attention.
And indeed, we have so much to learn of the argan tree. And we have already learned, I think, all of us, the lesson from the COVID, which is about resilience, which is the thematic today of the second anniversary of celebrating the International Day of Argan. So now, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is for Mrs. Miriam Bigdeli, who is the World Health Organization representative in Morocco.
Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends, on behalf of Dr. Tedros, thank you for the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you today. The argan tree is a living symbol of resilience and of a caring and respectful relationship between humans and the natural environment. The last year has seen ongoing dramatic challenges to public health, with disease, war, and environmental disasters. Our response to these health challenges is undermined by inequitable and unjust policies and the imbalanced relationship between people and the planet. We need to focus on the roots of what keeps people safe and healthy, rather than only treating people after they are sick. Protecting the natural environment is the most important and fundamental condition for human health. We need to stop all wars, including our war on nature. The careful, sustained cultivation of Argania over many generations is a demonstration of how to keep this balance between people and planet. I thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bigdeli. And the next speaker is also a woman. And we have understood that women play a crucial role in the whole ecosystem of Argan, as well as the inclusion of rural women. And she, our next speaker, Sima Sami Bouhous, the Executive Director of UN Women, will emphasize on that.
Excellencies, I would like to address my gratitude to His Excellency Mohammed Siddiqui, Minister of Agricultural, Maritime Fisheries, Rural Development and Water and Forests, for inviting us to participate in this year's second International Day of the Argan Tree. Ladies and gentlemen, I take this opportunity to congratulate the Kingdom of Morocco for its leadership in the adoption of this resolution, which highlights the importance of the biosphere of the Argan tree and values the socio-economic and environmental role played by women in the conservation of an integrated ecosystem, as well as in the transfer of know-how and various practices related to this sector. I also applaud the efforts to maintain these ancestral community practices of sustainable management in the Argan ecosystem that support the economic empowerment and financial inclusion of rural women, and while strengthening their capacities in resilience and adaptation to climate change. Excellencies, the economic empowerment of rural women is at the heart of this resolution. One of the main points of the resolution is the inclusion of climate change, which is a major factor in the loss of biodiversity and the degradation of agroforestry ecosystems. This year's theme on resilience is therefore crucial not only to advocate for full implementation of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, but also for gender mainstreaming in climate policies and effective implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The Commission of the Status of Women, CSW, has repeatedly stressed the importance of gender in environmental protection and the fight against climate change. The 55th session of the CSW adopted a resolution to mainstream gender equality and women empowerment into climate change and green economy policies and strategies. The 66th session last March has also focused on achieving gender equality and empowering all women in this context environmentally and also in reducing risks and disaster policies. Furthermore, the Paris Climate Agreement in its 7th article states that parties recognize that action for adaptation should be gender sensitive. Excellencies, in this regard, the efforts of the Kingdom of Morocco to preserve the socio-ecological ecosystem of the Argan tree should be acknowledged and applauded, particularly through the establishment of sectoral policies and participatory governance that combine the conservation of biodiversity and the improvement of the economic conditions of the local population, particularly those of women, and the preservation of an intangible cultural heritage. This is also evidenced by the government's commitment to adopt a national policy which aims to increase the activity rate of women to more than 30% by 2026. As you are all aware, UN Women Morocco supports efforts to achieve gender equality both at the sectoral policy level aimed at gender mainstreaming, in climate change adaptation, and at the local level through support for women solidates to access land or through technical and organizational support for rural women's cooperatives. Let me conclude by emphasizing that women are agents of action and change and must be a part of the solution for a sustainable future. The construction of this sustainable future is also contingent upon capturing the women's knowledge, skills, and leadership in climate action and the preservation of natural resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bouhous. And now, Mrs. Beth Beckdahl, Deputy Director General at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the FAO. Ladies and gentlemen.
Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to address you as we celebrate the International Day of Argania. The argan tree is a native keystone of southwest Morocco. Depended upon for food, fodder, energy, and cosmetics, it offers countless social, environmental, economic, cultural, health, and nutrition benefits. It embodies the vital role that wild plants and trees play in food security, supporting livelihoods, culture, conservation of biodiversity, resilience, and the shielding against desertification. The time-honored agro-silvopastoral system where argan trees have flourished for centuries is unique. It blends traditional agroforestry, land, water, and pastoral management and livestock production practices, where these are especially vital today in the face of the growing climate crisis. The benefits of conserving and sustainably using the argan tree have positive spillover effects on the agrobiodiversity of entire landscapes. Ayat Sahib Ayat Mansour in Morocco was recognized as a globally important agricultural heritage system by FAO in December of 2018. In this land of argan, more than 50 cultivated plant species and 16 species of livestock and bees cohabit. We should think of the argan tree as an ambassador for both biodiversity and prosperity. Some 3 million people, many indigenous Moroccan women and their families, are linked to argan harvesting and production. Their rich knowledge and sustainable use of argan, including the arduous work hand mixing and crushing of argan kernels to extract the valuable oil we have all come to know and use, not only contributes to food security in the region, but importantly preserves vital ecological habitats. The local knowledge that maintains the argan agroecosystem is a model of natural resource management that can and should be replicated elsewhere. For this year's Earth Day, FAO published a report on the opportunities and the risks related to the trade in wild plant ingredients, including argan. And according to this report, the argan oil market was valued at $224 million in 2019 and is expected to continue to grow. Ladies and gentlemen, last week, FAO launched the State of the World's Forests 2022, presenting 3 mutually reinforcing forest-based pathways that can lead us to a greener, healthier, more resilient future, halting deforestation and maintaining forest ecosystem benefits, restoring and enhancing productive capacity and resilience of forests, and also enhancing sustainable forest use and building green value chains. Argania is a living example that these pathways are possible. The International Day of Argania is a global call to scale up sustainable management and restore Argania production systems and associated value chains. The current UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, co-led by FAO and UNEP, offers another opportunity to support partnerships and investments in this regard. I'll conclude by highlighting the Kingdom of Morocco's pioneering role in promoting the sustainable use and conservation of the argan ecosystem. Morocco is setting an example for others around the world on how a solution for nature is often also a solution for culture, health, and livelihoods. It is my hope that the International Day of Argania can be a reminder to us all of the vital role wild trees and plants play for better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life, leaving no one behind.
A better life and a better planet. Thank you, Mrs. Beth Beckdahl. And that leads me to the last opening remark by Mrs. Oyun Sanjasuren, Director for External Affairs of the Green Climate Fund, the GCF.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good day to you all. I'm representing the Green Climate Fund. A member of Tamaynuti Cooperative in Agadir once told our GCF staff, "I love argan. It is my life." What she said made me think about how the argan tree has been an integral part of Morocco's heritage as a source of life and resilience. For generations, Moroccan mothers have passed on the difficult craft of cracking argan nuts to their daughters, a feat that no machine to this day can accomplish. Argan has been a part of the country's farming system. Every part of the fruit, from the skin to the husk, can be used. The argan tree adapts well to dry conditions, and as such, the Argan Biosphere Reserve, which exists only in Morocco, acts as a barrier against the impacts of climate change, such as desertification. Our Green Climate Fund is proud to be a partner of the Kingdom of Morocco in its endeavor to develop the argan tree agriculture to prop up rural communities and foster sustainable development while building resilience and supporting climate mitigation. Our $39 million investment in the development of organic culture orchards in the Degraded Environment Project, known as DARED, follows 3 forest and land use principles, and namely, protection of forest cover, restoration of ecosystems and land to increase resilience, and sustainable management of landscapes to increase productivity. The goal of the sustainable cultivation of argan trees in orchards is to relieve human pressure on argan forests, giving them time to naturally regenerate, and to enable farmers to continue to meet the global demands for argan oil products. The DARED project also aims to improve the argan value chain by strengthening the capacity of women-led cooperatives to systematize their argan fruit collection, storage, and processing techniques. As a result, they're able to meet international trade and product standards, which qualifies them to sell argan products through formal networks at profitable prices. Moreover, the project supports the Kingdom of Morocco's objective to share with the world the country's knowledge in building resilience and rebuilding biodiversity through the argan ecosystem. In 2020, ANZOA, the implementing partner of this project, signed an agreement with the National Institute of Agronomic Research for the conduct and promotion of scientific research on argan. The DARE project is a model project that can be emulated by other countries. It links nature and sustainable economic growth, utilizes local knowledge, supports women farmers, particularly Berbers, and empowers climate mitigation and adaptation actions. To date, GCF has dispersed more than 50% of our climate financing for this investment through our partner, the Agency for Agricultural Development of Morocco. At a time of uncertainty, ladies and gentlemen, when the world stands at the crossroads of the 3 greatest crises of our time, climate crisis, biodiversity loss, and the pandemic, the Green Climate Fund remains committed to sustain and preserve the argan forest. The Argan Biosphere Reserve is crucial for a sustainable recovery and resilient future for all. Happy International Day of Argania. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sanjasurin. So if anyone was wondering how this example of resilience of the argan can be emulated to other countries, well, the answer is within the opening conference that will be given by the Director General of the National Agency for the Development of Oasis and Argan Zone, the ANZOA, this agency that have been mentioned by the last opening speaker, Mr. Brahim Hafidi, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, this guy is going to speak Arabic probably. Okay. I'll try my best.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure and honor for me to be with you today to celebrate the International Day of Argania for the second edition. In this year's celebration, as mentioned in the title, we choose to make a special focus on argan as symbol of resilience. The ultimate objective being to underline the crucial role this emblematic species has been playing in boosting ecological, economic, and social resilience. In fact, resilience in argan forest draws back to centuries ago. This remarkable centennial-old argan specimen you see in the picture symbolizes perfectly such resilience. Before we go into the main topics, I would like to underline some key argan historical landmarks. Prior to the 20th century, the population of argan ecosystem was very low. Agriculture and forest management were basically traditional with no or little negative impact on the ecosystem. Thus, argan forest was under a relatively low anthropological pressure. In 1925, a unique legislative framework specially dedicated to argan forest was published and implemented. This law addressed for the first time the use of argan forest resources. In fact, since then, local communities have acquired the right to use argan fruits, cultivate the land, and graze in the forest without harming the tree and use dead wood for cooking. Starting the 70s, agriculture activities have progressively intensified, local demography has steadily increased, and urbanization has gained rural areas. As a result, new challenges have emerged regarding the management of argan ecosystems. By 1992, the international community has reached a common consensus on urgent need for a new development models seeking sustainability. Rio Earth Summit, held in Brazil, has given us a roadmap with the framework of Agenda 21 principles. Based on these principles, the Kingdom of Morocco has launched a number of projects, programs, and initiatives with the help of international institutions to address sustainability. Argan forest was part of the areas where actions aimed at addressing desertification issues and local community-based management system to preserve natural resources. Actions aimed at biosphere recognition by international community was launched in 1992 thanks to the German technical assistance GZ that have supported the preparation of the request for this recognition. UNESCO's recognition of argan as biosphere reserve in 1998 was indeed a significant historical landmark. 12 years later, in 2010, upon instructions of His Majesty the King Mohammed VI, the National Agency for the Development of Oases and Argan Zones was created, ANZOA in French. The agency's mission consists of designing and implementing a sustainable integrated development program around three pillars: social, economic, and environmental. The governance model adopted by the agency consists at coordinating actions with all stakeholders at local, national, and international levels, establishing dialogue with local communities in order to set priorities and implement actions, ensuring monitoring and reporting in order to balance bottom-up and top-down territorial governance approaches. The United Nations Proclamation of May 10 as an Argania International Day we are celebrating today has in fact crowned the progress made towards sustainability and resilience, thanks to UN agencies and country members that have been involved in the process. Now, let me go to the issue of resilience as related to argan. First, one of the striking features of argan forest is the great diversity in landscape and ecosystems. This is a crucial component for resilience. Argan landscape, as you see in this map, includes mountains, which represent 75% of the total area, with two chains. The High Atlas, where Argan is under a relatively humid climate, and Anti-Atlas, which is rather arid. Forest landscape is also impacted by oceanic influence in the west side, arid climate in the south, and continental climate in the east. ABR landscape is also home for 2 national parks, 17 sites of biological and ecological interest, 4 main watersheds, and 14 dams. At the ecosystem level, Argan Biosphere Reserve is also home for 11 different ecosystems. In the northern part, Argan ecosystems are still relatively well preserved. Argan is sharing biotope with a variety of other forest species such as oak, wild olive, and tuya. In coastal area, where typical ecosystems include Argan with a great diversity of annual and perennial plants such as earthworms. In valleys, rain-fed and irrigated agroecosystems dominate the landscape. Down in the south, Argan is playing a crucial role in soil conservation. Biodiversity as a key component of resilience is very important in Argan forest. It includes 1,240 plant species, 660 animal species, and a wide variety of local crop and animal races. Endemic species cover plants with 142 species, as well as animals with 25 species. Needless to underline the huge economic and social benefits local communities are drawing from these resources, as I will develop later on. As far as traditional knowledge is concerned, it has been a long time one of the main drivers supporting resilience in Argan ecosystems. Ingenious traditional practices were developed throughout the years in Argan oil processing, forest management, and agriculture practices. Today, intangible capitals are now internationally recognized, thanks to WFO for its support to the Global Ingenious Agriculture Heritage System programs in 2018, and to UNESCO for the inscription of women know-how practices on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity in 2014. By the way, Argan is a source of income to hundreds of women in the IBR. Argan is a multi-purpose tree. However, regarding argan oil prior to 1992, the main uses were basically for local consumption. With the birth of the first woman cooperative in 1995, a new dynamic of valorization was launched in IBR area. Today, as illustrated in this map, there are more than 800 cooperatives gathering around 12,000 women. Fully aware of the critical role of women for the sustainable development of the argan tree in the future, and ZOA is currently reinforcing the support to women autonomization through REFAM project, thanks to Global Efforts Canada. Much of the progress achieved so far in supporting the resilience at IBR level is due to scientific research and innovation. And ZOA has been organizing an international scientific congress every 2 years since 2011. Today, we are launching the 6th edition. One might ask, what are so far the salient impact of scientific research on argan resilience and sustainable development as all? Well, issues where solid scientific evidence has proven to be extremely useful are related to argan oil and argan production. For example, the nutritional, cosmetic, and medicinal values behind the international reputation of argan oil is backed up by strong scientific evidence, thanks to the scientific community. Also, studies on biology, agronomy, and argan physiology are now laying the path for the new argan production system coined as Arganiculture. The protection of argan takes several forms and involved a multitude of stakeholders. As mentioned earlier, local communities were the first to establish a traditional management system aiming at reducing the pressure on argan during the fruiting stage, called Agdal. Upon the recognition of argan forest as biosphere reserve, core and buffer zones were identified and delineated. These areas that need special care cover around 750,000 hectares. The creation of two national parks, Susmassa and Tubkal, and 17 sites of biological and ecological interest in 1995 has boosted the conservation of argan and associated biodiversity. Parks and sites cover 90,000 hectares. More recently, commendable effort in terms of rehabilitation have been accomplished. A total area of 164,000 hectares has been so far rehabilitated by Forest Department. The perspective by 2030 is to reach 400,000 hectares. Finally, ANZOA has launched an innovative project to develop argan orchids in degraded environments, Arganiculture. This project covers 10,000 hectares, thanks to Green Climate Fund and the Ministry of Agriculture and ADA. The perspective by 2030 is to reach 50,000 hectares. From an economic and social point of view, ANZOA has coordinated a number of actions at territorial levels with several ministerial departments, local authorities, territorial collectivities, private sector, and NGOs. Areas where a significant progress is registered since 2012 include opening up roads, increase of 12%, but we still have space for improvement. Rural electrification, where achieved 99%. Access to drinking water, increase of 20%. And school enrollment, where we achieved 99%. As a result, GDP has increased by 35%, and the poverty rate was reduced from 10 to 4.7%. Ladies and gentlemen, as a concluding remarks, I would like to emphasize the main priorities seen as critical for our future actions, and where inclusiveness, partnerships, stakeholdership will be strongly needed. We will pursue efforts to improve socioeconomic indicators taking into consideration the strategic orientation of the new Moroccan development model and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Lessons learned from COVID pandemic crisis will also be integrated in our plan to improve resilience of the rural population in the IBR. IBR is strongly impacted by climate change as shown in the Regional Plan for Climate Change, Adaptation and Mitigation. Therefore, a special focus will be given to water, energy, food nexus to address such a complex issue. Finally, being aware that the battle against vulnerability cannot be won without solid data, we intend to give a particular importance to artificial intelligence technologies such as big data, deep learning, and Internet of Objects to improve our approach to territorial development. International cooperation, as emphasized a few minutes ago by His Excellency the Ambassador, Mr. Omar Hilal, will be strongly needed more than ever for all these issues. Last but not least, if I have to say one final word on behalf of these kids, ladies and gentlemen, I would summarize their thought in one single sentence. Let's work together to save this international heritage for our future generation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hafidi. Thank you for this very inspirational speech and presentation that reminded us of the history of the argan tree, the Argania, but as well as gave us a glimpse of the future, the bright, we hope, the bright future of this ecosystem of Argania. Thanks again to all of you who have been following us online, and let me join you to wish to the argan tree a bright and beautiful and great future. Thank you.
On behalf of the Ministry of Maritime Fisheries, Water and Forests, and as well as the National Agency for the Oasis Areas and Argan Tree, I declare this International Congress for Argan Tree on the theme, the Argan Tree, a symbol of resilience. So, of course, during this Congress, we will review several projects. We will have presentations and also an important time where we'll sign an important convention that would finish with the award ceremony that was actually going to honor researchers who carry out research in this very rare and also ancestral domain, which is the Argan tree. And this will actually give us time to have the exchanges with this distinguished experts in this sector. And I'll start with the General Secretary of the Department of Agriculture, Mr. Khadwan Arash. Good evening, sir. How are you? I'm well. Okay, good evening, everybody. Sid Wali, Sid Khais. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Dear colleagues, what is organized all the 2 years by the UNZWA. So I'd like to actually, especially with regards to this work, because the nature of the Argan tree, or of this particular sector, or this space, which is the Argan biosphere, it's really something that requires decisions and also a lot of knowledge and also strategies that are based on knowledge-based strategies. So we need scientific knowledge. That is what this Congress today represents. It's really important. We saw how a lot of research publications have actually increased over the time. This is a heritage we are building through the efforts that the researchers put in. We also have the knowledge, which is traditional knowledge, with everything got to do with the management of forests and also agricultural practices, and also use transformation and also adding value to the Argan tree, maybe through cosmetic oils and also other forms of oil. So it is really important. I think that UNZWA has put in a lot of effort to give a tempo to this particular sector through the organization of a scientific congress to really inform its decisions on knowledge. That's the first point. Second point, today, the Argan sector, thanks to the different dispositions of the Green Morocco initiative, has seen a lot of progress. And also recently, when they had an institutional reform in creating Anzua, which is the main actor of amongst the different actors that actually intervene in this particular aspect, because be the local actors like the associations, cooperatives, or even the regional actors, so the different ministerial departments, be they governmental or not, and also the international actors who are actually more interested in the Argan biosphere are given the role of biodiversity, and also with the particularity of having it exist only in Morocco. So what did the Green Morocco initiative start? They brought in a new means, a new approach. We see it in how they actually are fixed objectives through what we call the program contracts, so the contractualization with actors. When we talk about contracts, we actually given responsibility. So we are calling on people to participate with us. But these people equally have duties. So this is the sharing of responsibilities that allowed us to move this fast. Secondly, we also fixed ambitious objectives to develop the sector. Today, we export, as the minister precised in his speech, a lot of this quantity, and also with the Green Morocco initiative, we've done a lot to ensure that the sector is organized. We have colleges, so everybody is organized. So we have a set of professions where we have spokespersons who are also in charge of the different state institutions. That is equally another gain. Now, we have some acquisitions that are also under the Green Morocco plan, and also it is really important, but there's still a lot of things to do. That is why in the new strategy, we're going to have place a lot more importance on this sector and giving key figures. Figures are indicators. These are ambitious figures in terms of rehabilitation and in terms of domestication of the Argan tree. So here too, we need to actually commend the efforts by all the different actors, including the ministries today, thanks to research in Morocco. And there I'm talking about this again, science and knowledge. Morocco has been able to develop a plan to expand the domestic culture of Argan trees. I would not like to talk for too long. I'll conclude very soon on 2 points. Let's be careful. There are 2 points about the Argan tree, the commercial and non-merchant aspect. So for the merchant aspect, the commercialization, the selling, and we have non-commercialized aspect. That is what is linked to the heritage, natural balance, equilibrium, and also the ecosystemic equilibrium. So we need maybe to take advantage of this equilibrium to actually develop everything that's got to do with the domestic aspect, and also the preservation of the non-commercial aspect of this Argan tree, which is actually fighting against climate change or even resisting climate change. And also all the different factors, tropical factors, amongst others. We must continue this function and we must strengthen it and preserve it. Thank you. Thank you for respecting the timing. Thank you, Mr. Abash. You actually spoke about the responsibility and also talk about sharing the responsibility with all the different actors in the different agencies. Of course, the principal leaders or focal points are here on this panel. Mr. Hafid, we followed you with a lot of interest, your presentation. There's this question on, it is central, it is the future of the sector. We cannot talk about the future without talking about research and development. in the what is the strategy of ANZUA with regards to research and development? Thank you, Madam Hassan. I would like to first of all thank the Wali, the president of the region, for coming to take part with us to actually celebrate the International Argan Day and also to open the Congress, the Scientific Congress. I would like to also thank all government representatives and also presidents of chambers, and also central regional directors, researchers, because we are in a Congress of researchers. So all the researchers are welcome. So I would like to also thank the scientific committee, because you can see each time we have about 100 published works. So we have a committee that are actually doing this to actually correct and select these for this program. So thank you. So a while ago I presented a diagram. I did not know, maybe I didn't have much time because of the time constraint of 15 minutes, but we saw that before ANZUA's decision to organize this Congress, there were very few publications or papers on argan, and there were few. Since 2011, we've seen that every 2 years we've witnessed an increase in scientific papers, and so there's a production. So everything actually follows the biosphere reserve. So today, like I've signaled, we have achieved enormous results when it comes to argan oil. We've analyzed, we've actually seen the different virtues of the argan tree. That is why today it has international reputation. We've equally worked on the regeneration of the argan tree, because before, because now we have what we call organiculture. And so we have the Director General of the IMDOCAD is going to talk about everything we are doing when it comes to the different varieties of the argan tree. Today, I would invite researchers to ensure that we carry out an assessment, and that in the future we would actually need to research on the social aspect, sociology. We have a lot of questions, there is a lot of knowledge that need to be cleared. So the social aspects of this, we must work on the economic aspect. We must work on all the new technologies. So talking about intelligence, artificial intelligence, AI, and today we need data and a lot of techniques to actually collect these data. So that is why we can actually make use of artificial intelligence to estimate production and even follow the organization of everything that is being done. I think this could be a proper orientation to help us better orient our research. We are going to sign a convention with the Ibn Zor University, and between Ibn Zor University and UNESCO. So I hope that this will actually come into complete where we did not actually have a lot of progress, especially with the socio-economic and technological aspects, to, in a way, have everything we need to increase and improve resilience in our territory. Thank you very much, Mr. Hafidi.
We will definitely be talking about research, development, and preservation with you, Mr. Jamaldin Oshqif, the Director of Forestry Development, ANF. When we talk about preservation, we also talk about risks and challenges of desertification and climate change. So how can we preserve this golden tree, which is the argan tree? Thank you very much for your question. I believe that the management of forest trees in general and the argan tree forests particularly are always has an objective to attain sustainable development. The new strategy in the Moroccan forests of 2020-2030 has 5 principal acts that answer your question variously, which is to have knowledge of partnerships, which is partnerships that are important for sustainable development for forests. the management of these spaces because Morocco has a biodiverse forest presence. And every space has its own specialty, so we have to manage them accordingly. The third element, it is about the reforestation and recapturing of green forests, green areas, which are very important, and this objective is constricted by all that is technical and that has to do with protection for human use. The other aspect, which is also very important for this strategy, is the review of forest law, because today it is important for us to refresh the legal framework about forests and make sure that it can answer questions about forest management in Morocco. 4 or 5 action plans were programmed and implemented in the southwest regions of Morocco, and especially for the Argan tree forests, which is about having to do with a project of 2,000 hectares per year to 5,000 hectares plus 200,000 hectares for the future. It is also important for us to talk about the usage, because in the national level we have an organization of populations when it comes to forest management that is durable and trustworthy. And these organisms will be incentivized through a moral and financial plans. And this will allow them to improve their revenues and profits, but to also preserve their perimeters. Another important action plan in our program is to achieve everything to do with forest management. So we have 8,300 hectares, and we have more hectares that are not included in this action plan. And we plan to include them by elaborating a forest management plan. And it is very important for us to be able to have an inclusive and coherent forest management plan that goes as well in line with the other management plans. The new forest strategy for Morocco has been able to develop, and we are also working through the next years to make more progress. Thank you very much, Mr. Jamaldin Wishqif. Thank you as well for highlighting the objectives of what needs to be done next, and it is very nice of you to talk about them. Thank you. I wanted to talk about everything to do with research as well, because we have had the occasion to meet with Mr. Professor Bakawi in last year's first celebration of the Argan tree. If you could tell us more about the advantage of what has been done by what was mentioned by Mr. Hafid regarding all research. Thank you. I would like to start by highlighting that the next 3 days we will be having many presentations that will be addressing the richness across many institutions and universities, and I would like to thank the certain members of the scientific community that have played a very important role in the selection of these presentations, as well as thanks to the coordination of the NZOA. I'll give you some examples about these researches, and with the help of our partners and with the Generation Green, in order for us to improve the productivity and the value of Argan products, which will help all cooperatives. The argan tree is a complex tree with many characteristics. It has a huge biodiversity, and it has a great value with many opportunities. The first example I want to talk about is about biodiversity, because as we all know, argan tree has a large biodiversity in forests, as well as an adaptation to hydrostress and the many types of soil. The results that were cultivated recently thanks to the INRA and the Ibn Zor University has shown us the importance of this argan tree, because this species is defined by the people that preserve this tree. So without preservation, we won't have many trees and many seeds as well. So these preliminary results, although preliminary, of course, they can't really be cross-examined, all of these species for the argan tree. I'll give you an analogy for all of these species. So in a forest with only hard seeds, what we have seen is that sometimes there are many types of seeds that are not that don't cross each other's paths. The second example is the genome of the argan tree, which is almost 8 million bases, which is almost 40 genes. And in the future, we will have more information on the argan tree. The size of this genome is important to know, but it's not exactly linked to the complexity of the species, because there are many genomes. The other example that I would like to talk about is citrus. So the INRA has made many a significant progress in the multiplication. So these trees that have been multiplied through many plants, we could characterize them through the conventional multiplication. However, it is long, and it takes more time than certain species, because, for example, some species like cactus take less time. When we are improving a certain species, we try to multiply the best characteristics of its kind. So if we take seeds directly from a tree, since it has many seeds are multiplied through cloning.
Faites prendre un tissu de la mer et le multiplier.
And it is multiplied, and they come up with embryos. And so that is possible with the plants, the capacity to actually retransform and to redifferentiate itself. And this technique has been actually studied in the forest trees, and also when it comes to palm oil. So why not for the argan tree? So the cost and rapidity of multiplication is going to be a lot more rapid, and then also the costs are going to be better. So it's observations within INRA that actually tells us that this is possible. Quickly, with regards to other examples. So I'm just trying to play this difficult role of managing time. So we have the determination of actually the use of digital agriculture is going to actually continue with scientific progress. Evaluation of argan contribution to climate resilience is something that is ongoing. In conclusion, research must have an impact. The examples I gave of the different species, we can have two impacts, one on the environmental aspect and also on the added value aspect. We must conserve the environment when it comes to adding value also to the culture. It is really important to ensure that certain species do not cross, to actually ensure this for this very important plant. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor. I followed closely and I learned a lot about this plant. Thank you very much. I'll now maybe switch languages. I would like to remind us that all through this event is actually translated in 4 languages. First, English, French, Arabic, and Tamazic. So you are the president of the Interprofessional Federation of the Argania.
العلماء باش تسكرمت
Okay. Thank you very much, the Wali of Agadir and members of the agricultural and members of the cultural chambers and representatives, be them local and president of the University of Ibn Zar. Today is a big day for Argania chain because it is a day that we celebrate, and as you know, it is the fruit of a lot of efforts that have already been done during the ministry of Aziza Akhnouch, who is now Prime Minister, and also the no ministers and the other staff members of the ministry, and the Moroccan delegate ambassador to the United Nations. This is we have this convention that honors all of the actors, especially women and those who bear rights, and also cooperatives and every actor in the Argan chain. So this federation is the result of an effort that was already taken within the framework of Morocco, Green Morocco, that organizes chains, including the Argan chain. So the federation's mission is to coordinate between ministries, the different ministries, and the different central directorates and regional directorates and ANZU and the University of Ibn Zar. So the coordination that we are doing, that is supervised by the ANZUA. This is an honor to professionals. The coordination that is always between the government entities and the decisions that have been taken. We have also another aspect which is very important, is to preserve the Argan tree. So the efforts, the planting of the tree, it is a fruitful tree, but we should preserve what already we have through enacting the law, the acts of transhumance that we have defended together with the delegation of ministry. So as you know, we have a lot of oppositions against the Ministry of Waters and Forests, but now there are no more such oppositions. So we are happy that we have the ANZUA that is and also the interest, the concern that is paid to the human that were working in the Argan space, especially women. especially to women. And as you know, a lot of attention is given to women working in the rural areas, in areas. For example, we have organized a lot of workshops and financial management workshops, and also diagnosis of the needs of these cooperatives that benefited a lot of women. And we are moving to valorization. We have a commitment within the new plant, which is Generation Green, which is so that we can achieve 50% of valorization by the horizon of 2030. This is all done by the Federation in order to preserve the natural heritage of the organization, and also to develop the human being that is working in this, especially those bearers of rights, and as well as scientific research. We have a convention that is giving producing many speech works on new species of argan. All of this is a source of pride for us, that argan is something that is international. Thank you very much, Mr. Atbir. Thank you all.
I will leave the last word to Mr. Brahim Hafidi. Thank you very much. I would like to actually congratulate you. I am very happy, since we talked about the intangible resources by the FAO that were mentioned by the FAO and the UNESCO. And today I am very proud of the organization of this day that is moderated by Ihsan, who came all the way from Telewin. And since we heard His Excellency, the ambassador from Walad Taima, who is the son of the ARBA, Mr. Omar Hilal, and let's us think of our head of government, Mr. Aziz Akhanouch, who came all the way from Tafraout as well, which is the region of that represents the human resources that play a very important role in the development of this sector. So thank you very much. It is. I am very proud to be coming from this region, and thank you very much, sir. We will now continue, of course, this program of the International Day of the Argan Tree Day and the inaugural day, the inaugural conferences, which will be talking about the pharmacology of this sector, as well as the researches to project the future, and it will be developed by Nordin Lawad, an expert in natural product chemistry and pharmacology.
So thank you. Before starting, I'd like to thank the organizing committee for inviting me for this inaugural conference. It's a great pleasure for me to come to Agadir. So in my presentation, is actually I started in Agadir, so University Ibn Zor, and here with Mr. President, I know him very well. So thank you, Mr. President, for all the support that you've given to us during the time I was a professor at the university. So the title is the phytochemical potential of the argan tree. It results on the semi-half-life of research perspectives and also opportunities. So after a half century of scientific research, we can actually observe everything that has been done. If we can still, and what can still be done, and also come up with a few questions. The first question was with regards to what has been achieved with the argan tree and what can we still do, and what are the things that we can actually do more with this research on the socio, economic, and cultural aspects, and what impact can scientific research bring in the coming years, be it from economic or national or regional aspect, and also for the development of the Argan sector. So here, like as Mr. Hafidi mentioned, we have more than 900 publications, so more than 500 that have already been chosen. So we have several aspects, be the physiology and also microbiology or phytochemistry or pharmacology. So all these articles, we have about 201 articles that have been published on phytochemistry and pharmacology. And so we have about 80% were actually been carried out on the research results on the argan oil. So we have the physical and chemical component of the biological aspect and also the chemical components. So in this graph, we can see the articles that were published with a peak in 2015-2018 period. So that is just with regards to phytochemistry and also pharmacology. So that is about 50 articles between 2015 and 2018. And this year, during the first month, we had about 20 articles that were published in reviews. So this diapo shows the quantity or the number of articles were published in Morocco, about 146. I am reminding you that we are talking about pharmacognosis, and also that is about 146 articles. So we have about 10 articles in 2022, and also Algeria, Spain, and Turkey, Italy, and Germany. So you should know that the majority of these articles published in France or in Italy are actually in partnership with Morocco. So we have more than 99% of our articles are articles written by Moroccans, because this is the source of pride for Moroccan researchers, and I would like to commend them for their efforts on this. So some articles were published, be it for Israel and other places, on the new culture for the argan tree. So all these works had an impact, direct impact on the development of argan oil and also the argan sector. Everywhere in the world, argan oil is recognized. The argan is actually recognized for its argan oil that is commercialized all over the world. That is due to two main activities. The first one is that the different activities or the pharmacological and cosmetic properties that actually open this doors to the cosmetic industry in the world. And the second thing we just spoke about was resilience, which is also one of the points of this plant that actually exists in Morocco, in spite of the different attempts of other countries to actually culture it. This plant still stays or remains Moroccan at 100%. So this does not actually require intensive use of pesticides and insecticides. So we can talk about a free plant, or a plant that is free from pesticides and insecticides. So in our research work, we've contributed. In 2021, we published review articles on the different research works on 4 aspects: extraction, chemical components, and also the biological activities of the argan tree. These were articles based on reviews of more than 100 articles. It's not just 100, it's about more than 100 articles, because there were some other articles that actually had recurring results. And so these are actually based on the 4 aspects I raised. So the results, so I've mentioned that the argan tree is used everywhere, almost everywhere, by the Moroccan population in the Argania region, and all the different parts of the argan tree are studied, from the roots all the way to the leaves. So the first aspect of this review, so we have the different forms of extraction. So we have we go to manual pressing, and then we can go to the extraction, mechanical extraction, and also we have extractions that are carried out by organic aspects, but this aspect is used by the analytic chemical aspects, and also we have the extraction by supercritical extraction. So these gives us very pure products, but the costs are really high due to the equipment that must be used. So, with regards to the phytochemical potential, so the argan tree has fatty acids, as also polyphenols, sterols, terpenes, tocopherols, and carotenes. The particularity of this tree is that the products that we can find in this tree are found in separate aspects. For example, talking about non-saturated fats, so the linoleic acid and the oleic acids, they can be found differently. So we can find in olive oil, they can be found differently. But for the argan tree, you can find all of these things in the same way. You can find them all together. So we identified more than several components, so that we can have about 10 products that are actually endemic to the argan tree, and they do not actually exist. These products cannot be found in other trees. These are specific to the argan tree. All of this brings us to ask questions. So what should we do more? So for regards to botanical research, a lot of things need to be done to complete evaluations or assessments that were carried out with regards to reviews, and also botanical reviews on the medicinal aspects, on the gastritis, ulcers, cosmetics, and also the different medicinal properties, like for the gastritis, ulcer, diabetes, and colonopathies. So the second aspect is the improvement of the extraction. So for us, our research group, in collaboration with the Ibn Zor University, developed an enzymatic extraction method. It's the first time that this has been developed for the argan tree. So it has been developed at 100% Moroccan level, and we've been able to increase the level of extraction by 15%. That is what the new article actually produced, Grain and Oil Science and Technology. This is an aspect we can still improve, that is extraction, and also the increase in the quantity extracted, and so this extraction, and so we are able to actually have very good quality and quantity of argan oil. The third aspect we can actually develop in research, and that we've worked on, is the adding value of the sub-products and also the byproducts of the argan tree. That is also a rich source. So we have carried out research, we're working on it, and we've integrated the bioinformatics or biotechnology, bio-IT. So when it comes to the prediction of biological activity without necessarily carrying out activities, in vitro activities. So these studies have shown that the main products that were obtained from this, the different activities, they have activities on the elastase, tyrosinase, collagenase, and elastase. And to know that elastase and collagenase are proteins or enzymes for elasticity of the skin. And we found out that this, by prediction, these molecules have very important activities. This has been proven by in vitro activities. Second aspect that we developed is the capillary stimulation by actually applying the extracts. So these are the different extracts that we applied on the mice or the guinea pigs that were actually shaved, and we realized an increase in the fur and the capillary density. So this is what we did. So this work was published recently this year in the Cosmetics Journal, MDPI. It is actually a journal from Switzerland. Second aspect are byproducts. We hear a lot of records on the food sovereignty. So the sub-products or byproducts of argan oil are very rich in proteins and fiber. So this is an area we can still cover. The second aspect is the development of dermatological products that actually 100% Moroccan. That is actually we can find in form like actually soap or even creams or even serums. And so the biological products, the first work we carried out in collaboration with the biotechnological laboratory for natural resources at the Ibn Zor University. That is actually a byproduct that we can actually be able to extract, and it actually had a mortality rate of about 100% after 72 hours of application. That is a result that we can actually really emphasize on. So this seventh axis that we can develop as perspectives of research, that is the elaboration of bioinformatic platform, bio-IT platform, have just two parts: the tech aspect of natural products of argan, and also the other aspect where we are able to have in silico cribbling to enable us to have prediction of the potential biological activities. So this means that this chemiotactics is actually have about 500 molecules, and we can get to about 100,000 molecules. If we even have more collaborations for this, so this could provide tools for the universities in the cosmetic, agro-food, and pharmacological aspect, and this is actually really important. It subscribes, especially when it comes to the sovereignty of the kingdom, and everything is actually described in the White Book that was actually approved by the 3 Moroccan ministers. So what are the opportunities that argan produces? Generally, we have modernization, supporting professionals for the development of bio enterprises. It's really important because after COVID-19, we need health sovereignty. So invest in companies, in biotechnology, bio-IT, pharmacy, research and development in the pharmaceutical aspect has become a necessity. Second aspect, so actually increasing the extraction levels by actually applying the enzymatic approach, and also the creation of a platform of virtual research to actually facilitate the research on argan oil. The third opportunity that we can actually have is the creation of a virtual research platform, a national consortium where we can actually create this platform and also come up with new products and innovations. So the argan tree is always at the heart of partnerships, be it partnerships with local cooperatives or even inter-university partnerships. And a particular example is the defense of a thesis that I directed myself with my other colleague in the technical laboratory at the Ibn Zor University. This is a work that was well mentioned on the argan tree. So the second aspect is the partnership internationally. So we had the pleasure to have an European 2020 project on which we worked on valorization of the byproducts of the argan tree in collaboration with international renowned universities. So when it comes to university exchanges and also the actually development of products with regards to agro-food and cosmetics sector. Now, the argan tree, we have new projects that we have with the Ibn Zoy University, of course. Of course, in a transatlantic partnership. So now we've published a chapter in the famous CRC, Trace Tyler and Francis group, on Taylor Francis and group on the use of argan oil as a micro nano capture for the delivery, or for drug delivery. It's the biodisponibility or bioavailability of this medication. So we are working with the Tangier Teaching Hospital with regards to the use of the argan oil in the treatment of cancer in cancerology. So some commercialized products in Europe is the use of capsules that are developed from the fish collagen, fish-based collagen, or the introduction of argan oil in the stomach for the bioavailability to have a direct effect on the organ. In human organs, we've actually developed elements that can be used as serum with regards to everything that's cosmetic. And this was developed with the Venus Rose in Bulgaria. This laboratory was actually worked in collaboration with us. I would also like to call on different researchers, economical actors, and companies to actually bid for European projects, call for tenders, because I am the focal point for in terms of innovation, and now Morocco has become an associate country of the European Union. So there are a lot of projects, there's a lot of money, there are a lot of things to do. So I invite the researchers and other companies to also fully participate in these products. So all of this work has been done in collaboration with the Faculty of Science in Agadir, Faculty of Medicine in Agadir, Faculty of Medicine and Pharmacy in Marrakesh, Faculty of Medicine and Pharmacy in Rabat, Tangier Teaching Hospital, Agri Labs, Frulact, and also partners when it comes to cost products, and also new university collaborators like now the results that we found that some extracts that were obtained from as byproducts of argan oil have anti-leishmanious properties. They fight against leishmaniosis. So we have food supplements from the byproducts of the argan oil, and here that is actually in collaboration with the different universities, including Turkish universities. So our group, I would like to thank all the different members, my research team. First of all, Dr. Hisham, Mr. Koch, and also who have actually worked on the valorization. And now we have Suhaib Haim, who have actually working on the synergy between argan oil and cannabis oil. And also with the other laboratory, Venus, we actually developing new products to actually place on the market. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. And thank you very much, Professor Lawal. Thank you for this wonderful class. Thank you.
Of course, this has been assured and ensured, and we will be following the ceremony for awards in order for us to celebrate the second anniversary of the Argan Tree at the end of this conference. But before we get there, we will have a presentation about the concretization of these ambitions, not only as a resource of revenue, but as well, and of course, a source of preservation for natural capital and the transplantation of adult argan tree. Joining us, Mohammed Khirraqi, and I invite him to join us for his presentation. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure and honor for me to be here with you today and to celebrate the International Day of Argania for the second edition. The ultimate objective is to underline the crucial role that this emblematic species has been playing in boosting ecological, economic, and social resilience. Thanks to the many partnerships with the NZOA and Professor Raoni, it is a project of transplantation of adult argan trees that have been concretized in the Agadir Souss regions in Morocco. I would like to give you a brief presentation about the transplantation of Argania trees. We are an industrial tool that is working across all of the kingdom, working on more than 6 million tons of resources for the granula and installations and stations of processing waste in Morocco. When it comes to our sustainable development policies, 82% of electric energy come from the air's renewable energies. In order for us to have 82% of our electric needs, last year we have surpassed 179 kilotons of industrial and managerial waste. So we have stations for pre-processing, and in order for us to valorize them, we have rehabilitated 539 hectares in Morocco that has refreshed many careers in Meknes. For our project of Nibniu al-Hayat, we have been able to influence 139 beneficiaries, which is a program that aims at locally helping employability and the health sector. The group in 2010, before working on the Souss region to work on the provinces of the south, has looked for working on calcare, and since 2013. Based on our knowledge of the terrain, we have seen that it is important. We have noticed that it's important for us to work with NZOA on the argan tree because there is a presence of argan tree in calcare-based terrains. So we have started our partnerships from 2013-2017 based on research, and we have also started working on architecture and authorizations. And since 2018, we have received authorization to begin working on these careers. So, in order for us to prepare these careers, we had to work on adult Argania trees. And this is something that was related to financing the argan tree sector, which is an estimation that was studied by the Ministry of Forest Management. So these trees have been there for years, which was traumatizing for us, seeing how all these projects, all environmental projects that have to do with our policies. We thought that since we have a professional partner, which is the NZOA, why not go back to go back and look into our partnership and work on our research and transplantation because we already have these projects, but there was really no scientific studies that motivate us to work on these projects. So we thought, well, maybe we should think more about this later. But we have mobilized other partners and worked with a PhD holder and a researcher about the study of transplantation. And it was in 2019 where we started our first campaign of transplantation. So we started planting trees, adult trees that is, and prepare them, as well as choosing a factory to transplant them in order for us to
ces organes transplantés. Aujourd'hui,
so today the transplantation our dream became true and transplantation succeeded. So our factory, briefly speaking, is something that is respecting all environmental rules and all of this has been taken into account, and the factory is integrated in the immediate and surrounding environment, and it is integrated on the level of the factories. So for the we have a rehabilitation scheme that has already started for the next years based on exploitation. So when we start a factory, it has to last for 50 years at least, and the first year. And it's all in line with the ISO 9000 and 4000. So this factory has been launched will be starting in 2029, and we are very proud of the trees that we have planted within this factory, and we have a percentage rate that is very honorable, and it is the first time on an international level with over 90% of as a percentage success percentage rate. And we are very happy, and I really thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate in this event, and I thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Mr. Khraqi, for this initiative to inspire other industries and initiatives. So thank you. And of course, in the context of this conference, the transplantation of adult trees, I would like to call Mr. Abdurrahman Ait Lahaj from the Anzoa. The floor is yours, sir. So, in the same context that our partner, Mr. Khraqi, has mentioned, we would like to present you with this situation because for us this is a model and a success story for us to find solutions to achieve our objectives when talking about sustainable development. So it is a winning example. And it is very important for us because it's also a territory for us where we have to achieve our sustainable development. So for us as an institution that takes care of all research and works with our partners and investors, we have to reach these objectives with the perspective and the aim of sustainable development. So the project that has been developed thanks to the Farge of Morocco, we have to work on a transplantation of adult argan trees that has many values for the community and our terrain. And it is a a tool and lever that will help launch us into the success and development of our our forests and our the environment for our investors. This is our mission for the ENZOA, which is to develop more objectives that ensure sustainable development, and our challenge was to achieve many investments that have to do with the environment and the exploitation of natural resources. So the ENZOA in this project has played a facilitating role in order to mobilize all capacities in order to look after this project and encourage our partners to join us in working on it, as well as inviting all experts to work harder with us, thanks to an association of SUSMESA when it comes to the agro-technological development. And this also includes working on results and reference points for other investors that are called to invest in this sector. So these are the missions of the ENZOA for this project, and everything that will be generated as results will be a tool that can help that could help in a framework that would facilitate partnerships for all actors that would like to help us preserve and give more make more room for transplantation of the argan trees. So results. We have a thesis that that has been promoted in this context, and the success of the transplantation. We have reached many interesting results, surpassing more than 70%, and we have an important stakeholder and partner which will be working on these theses that has ensured their partnership with us since 2018, and they are present with us working on this project, and we hope to work more with them in further future projects. And hopefully after the end of this inaugural session, we will have the opportunity for Mr. Harroni will give us scientific results with other researchers from many various universities that will be among us to discuss the results, and this roundtable will be broadcast online where we can watch it through a link that will be shared with you later. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ait El-Haj, and ladies and gentlemen, and our lovely audience. We are now we have arrived at a key moment, which is about signing a convention to work for researchers to work with partners with the ENZOA. With this organization and the university sector through the Ibn Zor University, and I would like to call the people who will sign this partnership and convention, Mr. Ibrahim Hafidi, General Director of ENZOA, and Mr. Abdelaziz Bendo, the President of the Dean and President of the Ibn Zor University. We hope that this partnership will start bearing its fruits soon, inshallah, and hopefully by the next edition of this celebration, we will see results of this partnership that we wish to last forever. And to finish on a note that will be headed towards the future in order to admit and acknowledge all the efforts of research about the Argan tree. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking about the awards for the young researchers that we will be talking about soon. We would like to begin with the category of the masters in engineers, and to hand these awards, I would like to welcome in a very emotional moment for me to see all the generations that we are celebrating right now and celebrating their success. The young researchers, I would like to call Mr. Nordin Snusi from Al-Hawz to join me. Hello. So we will begin with the third award, and as I remember, it is a master for the memoir of engineering. The third award is for for Busaid Zahra. Congratulations, ma'am. Congratulations to Busaid Zahra for the third reward. For the second award, we'll go to Muafiq Mohammed, if you would applaud him and his efforts. He is represented by his friend. Congratulations. And the first award, ladies and gentlemen, for the master's category of engineers, the first award is for Idbub Karlatifa. Congratulations, Idbub Karlatifa and Muafiq Mohammed and Busaid Zahra, the three researchers, and to Nordin Snusi, thank you very much. You may applaud him as well. We will now be moving on to the PhD doctorate category, and I would like to call to the third and second rewards Mr. Nordin Qssa from Susmassa. Good evening. So now we will begin with the third award. It belongs to Rahmoni Ilham. Congratulations to our Dr. Rahmoni Ilham. And now for the second award, it's for Akram Nezha. who is represented by her professor Ahmed Laboudi. It is a pride for you as well, Professor. And last but not least, the last and first award for the doctoral thesis, which is again a woman, which is called Buhut Maryam, which will be represented by her sister Muna Buhut. If you would just stay with us, because we will be calling Mr. Kharaki, if he's still with us right now, if he could join us for the picture. If you would like, you can take the picture, all three of you, of course. There you go. Perfect. Congratulations, and congratulations to all the winners, and it is for us. We would like to take a group photo for everyone here with us today. This way.
Félicitations.
Congratulations to all of you. And this is to immortalize this moment of closure of the International Day of the Argan Tree. Thank you all for taking part, and hopefully we will be seeing you next year in order to celebrate once more the Argan Tree. Thank you, and good evening to everyone.